The author Khuswant Singh starts by describing his grandmother. For the 20 years he had known her, she was a very old woman with a face completely covered in wrinkles. People told him that she used to be young and pretty, but as a little boy, he found this very hard to believe. In fact, he thought the idea was almost revolting. She used to tell the children stories about the games she played as a child, but the kids thought these stories were just silly fables. His grandmother was short, fat, and her body was slightly bent. She always wore spotless white clothes. She would walk around the house in an awkward way, keeping one hand on her waist to balance her bent back, while her other hand was always moving the beads of her prayer rosary. Her silver hair was messy and scattered over her pale face, and her lips were constantly moving in a quiet, silent prayer. The author says she was never pretty, but she was deeply beautiful, just like a calm, peaceful, and snowy winter landscape in the mountains. He also tells us about his grandfather. There was a portrait, a painting of his grandfather, hanging above the fireplace in their drawing room. In the painting, the grandfather wore a big turban and loose clothes, and he had a long white beard that covered his chest. He looked at least 100 years old. The author thought he looked like a man who could only have lots and lots of grandchildren, not a wife or young children. When the author was a little boy, his parents went to live in the city and left him in the village with his grandmother. They became very good friends and were always together. Every morning she woke him up, bathed him, and dressed him for school. While doing this, she would loudly sing her morning prayers in a dull, monotonous voice. She hoped he would learn the prayers by heart, but he never bothered to learn them. He only listened because he loved her sweet voice. She carefully prepared his school bag. She would wash his wooden slate and cover it with yellow chalk and then tie it in a bundle with a tiny clay ink pot and a red pen. For breakfast, they ate a thick stale chapati with a little butter and sugar spread on top. They always walked to school together because the village school was attached to a temple. The temple priest taught the children the alphabet and morning prayers, while the children sat in rows outside singing the alphabet. The grandmother sat inside the temple reading the holy books. When school was over, they walked back home. The grandmother always carried extra stale chapatis with her. The village dogs would meet them at the temple door and follow them all the way home, growling and fighting each other for the bread pieces she threw to them. When the author's parents were fully settled in the city, they called the author and his grandmother to come live with them. This was a major turning point in their friendship. Even though they shared the same bedroom, their lives changed completely. The author started going to an English school and he traveled there in a motor bus. Because of this, his grandmother could no longer walk to school with him. Since there were no stray dogs in the city streets, the grandmother found a new hobby. She started feeding little sparrows in the courtyard of their city house. When the author came home from school, she would ask him what the teacher taught him. He would tell her English words and things about Western science like the law of gravity and how the world is round. This made the grandmother very unhappy. She could not help him with his lessons anymore. Worse, she was deeply distressed because the English school did not teach anything about God or the Holy Scriptures. One day, the author announced that he was being given music lesson at school. The grandmother was very disturbed. In her traditional mind, music was only meant for beggars and bad women, not for good, gentle families. She was so upset that she rarely talked to him after that day. When the author grew older and went to the university, he was finally given his own room. The very last link of their childhood friendship was broken. The grandmother quietly accepted her loneliness. From the time the sun rose until the sun set, she just sat by her spinning wheel, making thread and reciting her prayers. Her only happy time was in the afternoon when she took a short break to feed the sparrows. She would sit on the veranda breaking bread into tiny bits, and hundreds of little sparrows would gather around her. They made a very loud, crazy chirping noise. Some birds sat on her legs, some on her shoulders, and some even sat on her head. She just smiled and never chased them away. It was her happiest half hour of the day. Later, the author decided to go to another country for 5 years for higher studies. He was worried that his old grandmother would be very upset and cry, but she was emotionally very strong. She came to the railway station to drop him off, but she did not talk or show any sad emotions. Her mind was lost in prayers, and her fingers kept moving the beads of her rosary. She silently kissed his forehead. The author cherished that wet kiss, thinking it might be last time he would ever have physical contact with his old grandmother. After 5 years, he came back home. She was right there at the station to welcome him. She did not look a single day older. She hugged him tightly, and he could hear her reciting her prayers. Even on that happy day, her favorite moment was still feeding her sparrows. However, that evening, a very strange change came over her. For the very first time since the author had known her, she did not pray. Instead, she gathered the women from the neighborhood, found an old broken drum, and started singing loud songs about warriors returning home. She played the drum and sang for several hours. Her family had to beg her to stop so she wouldn't make herself sick from being too tired. The very next morning, the grandmother got a mild fever. The doctor told the family not to worry and that the fever would go away. But the grandmother knew something else. She told them that her end was near. She felt bad that she had forgotten to pray the night before, just hours before the end of her life. Because of this, she said she did not want to waste any more time talking to her family. The family protested, but she ignored them. She lay very peacefully in her bed, praying and moving her beads. Suddenly, before anyone could even guess what was happening, her lips stopped moving and the rosary fell from her lifeless fingers. A peaceful pale look spread over her face, and the family knew she was dead. The family lifted her off the bed, laid her on the ground, and covered her body with a red cloth. In the evening, when the sun was setting and filling her room with a beautiful golden light, they came to take her body away for the funeral. When they walked into the room, they saw an amazing and heartbreaking sight. Thousands of sparrows were sitting on the floor all around her dead body. They were completely silent. There was no chirping at all. The author's mother felt sorry for the hungry birds, so she went and got some bread. She broke it into little crumbs exactly the way the grandmother used to do and threw the crumbs to the birds. But the sparrows did not even look at the bread. They had not come for food, they had come to mourn for their loving friend. When the family carried the grandmother's body away, the birds quietly flew away into the sky. The next morning, the sweeper simply swept the untouched bread crumbs into the dustbin. So, this story teaches us so much about the unconditional love of our grandparents and the changes in life, and how even little birds can feel sadness and love.